Welcome to our school partners. The University of St. Thomas has received a U.S. Department of Education Teacher Quality Partnership TQP grant. The co-project directors for this grant project are Dr. Shelley Nilsson-Gotti and Dr. Lynn Stansbury-Brusnahan. Our consortium residency coordinator is Dr. Laura Medwitz. Other individuals from the university that you will be dealing with this grant project include our Director of Sponsored Programs, Dr. Michael Warnack, and our Controller's Office, Sarah Irvine. The goal of our grant project is to create sustainable teacher residency programs, and these programs prepare high-quality licensed educators, including teachers for underrepresented communities and high-needs areas, and our goal is to increase student achievement. Our partners for this TQP grant project are a consortium of charter schools and Minneapolis Public Schools. Let's define resident, since we'll be utilizing that terminology in this presentation. A resident co-teach with a cooperating or mentor teacher for an entire school year while completing teacher preparation coursework. Schools will provide a living wage to the selected resident along with support for the resident throughout their residency. This living wage reduces a financial barrier to becoming an educator. Schools will be reimbursed for the living wage for residents at the rate of $30,500 per academic year. Schools will be expected to provide support for the resident that will qualify as a cost share at a minimum of 1-to-1 ratio of reimbursement. To be an official partner in the grant requires the school to complete a subcontract agreement. Without a subcontract, the school will not receive funds from our TQP grant. Schools that have returned the signed copy of the official contract can submit invoices for reimbursement for the living wage for each resident. So let's talk about that reimbursement. With the reimbursement paperwork, you'll also have to document cost share. Charter schools are expected to match the dollar amount of the resident's living wage. The cost share contributions must total or exceed the amount of the living wage, and you as a school are required to track, document, and retain documentation for the cost share activities. To receive reimbursement for the living wage paid to the individual serving in the role of resident, each school must provide an invoice each semester and document the cost share activities. Those invoices are sent to the Controller's Office, to Dr. Sarah Irvine at the address you see here, and this information is also included in the subcontract. There are 2 reimbursement periods where you'll be submitting invoices: December 31st and May 31st. Those are the deadlines, but you can submit within 30 days of each of those dates. The living wage reimbursement is up to $30,500 for each resident. That means each invoice submitted can be for $15,250. That cost share documentation for each invoice must be at least the amount included for the living wage. There's lots of potential sources of cost share. There's the planning activities that you're engaged in on the TQP project. There's your human resources time. They recruited, they did paperwork with that employee. They might have helped that resident secure a sublicense. There's resources which you've provided to the resident. Maybe you've been checking in with them. You've explained the pay benefits. All of those things are potential sources of cost share. The cooperating teacher and their salary and time as it relates to supporting the resident in the classroom. The building administrator's time. What you will do is, when those deadlines are approaching, you will attend another session where we will explain the invoice procedure. You will fill out a very simple invoice. This is an example. If you have one of your own, you may utilize it. But you see here, you'll be putting in the amount of the living wage stipend and the reimbursement that you're seeking, and then the amount that you have cost shared to match that $15,250. Dr. Shirley Nelson Gaddy has created an Excel that does automatic calculations in it. If you would like to have access to this, you can utilize that to get the information you need to fill in for your invoice. She's also created a video that explains how to use the cost share calculation Excel form.